Hello everyone, I'm Scott Spellmeyer. This is Yesenia Cordon. We're instructors at Garden Grove Unified School District. We're here today to teach you how to do a pre-trip on a 2020 Thomas Safety Liner CNG 40-footer. Before we get started with all this though, we're going to have to teach you a few things you need to know about the bus and be proficient in so that you can open the entry door when the entry door is closed. And you need to know about a few little items that cause an interlocking system, which doesn't allow the ignition to start unless you have them set up properly. So let's go ahead and get started with all that. Yesenia? All right, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is if you get to your bus in the morning and the door is closed. You can see that the door is closed over there. So you get up there. If you look on the door itself, there's no lock. There's a handle, but you'll be pulling it and nothing will be happening. You're going to be going, how do I get into this thing? You have to come over to the electrical panel underneath the driver's side seat, and here's a little switch. This little switch right here opens the door. And when you're on a field trip or at the end of the night and you're done, you open the door, go outside. The last thing you do is come in, flip the switch, and it shuts the door. Okay, and if you needed to lock the whole system, you can get a key and lock it from here. There's also another little trick that we need to tell you about just in case. You have a child check system on here, and occasionally the child check systems will go bad out in the field. If that ever happens, you are not legally allowed to disable the child check, period. It's against the law. You're supposed to have it on. But if it's going off at some school and you can't get it to shut off, there's this little trick, and you can take this fuse out. It's a little triangular shaped fuse. You can pull it out and it will disable the child check until you get back to the yard, tell the mechanics what happened. Mechanics will then at that time reset it and get it fixed. Okay, you cannot drive that bus unless that child check system is working properly, but if it breaks in the field, that would be the one time that you're allowed to do that. Call and ask the mechanics before you do any of that. Okay, other things you need to know about are safety features, and these are what we call interlock systems. If they are not set up properly, the ignition will not start. Okay, so one of them is on your CNG fuel door. On the fuel door, there is a little button right here. When the door closes, it presses this button and it allows you to start the bus. So if you do not have this door closed properly, the bus won't start. You're going to be wondering what's happening. Another thing you need to check for if you get out in the morning and the bus is not starting for you, there's no power, is come back to the battery compartment, and on the wall of the battery compartment, there's a battery shutoff switch. That will be in that position. You just need to turn it to on, and then you can go ahead and start the bus. But if that's okay, but it's still not starting, you have to come around to the back of the bus and check to make sure that the emergency exit in the back is not sitting open. If it's just sitting open like that, there's a little switch inside of here that will not be compressed, and guess what? You're not going to be able to start the bus once it's closed. And a safety feature for the mechanics is this engine compartment door. It will not allow you to start the bus whenever this button is not compressed. The door is not closed. That keeps you from starting the bus when they're in the back trying to fix something and maybe tearing their arm off or damaging the bus and the person and everything. So come check to make sure everything is closed properly. Another one that we'll be dealing with is the other CNG fill compartment. It has the same type of system as the other side. You open the door, there's a button right here. If it is not compressed by the door being completely closed, you cannot start the bus. Now, we have three more. Let me open up this door. This is where you'll see on the door, there's no locking system. How are you going to get into it? You can pull all you want to. That's when you go over to the side. You just wait right there, and we'll open it up. Good thing to know if you're stuck out there. So if you come on in, I'll show you the other interlocking systems that are a problem, or could be a problem. If you want to come to the back of the bus, the first interlock system that you need to know about is at your floor level emergency exit on the driver's side. Down at the base, there's a little latch that will allow you to lock the bus door, but you have to unlock it and put it back into place. It presses a button there and takes off the interlock system and allows you to start the bus. So if that's not secured properly, you'll not be able to turn the key and start the bus. Your passenger side emergency exit has the same thing. Another latch that will allow you to keep the door from opening, but if it's not put back into place, the interlock will not allow you to start the bus. And your final interlock system that can keep you from starting the bus in the morning is this little one right here. If you look at it, it's a lock for the back window. If it's in the lock position, your bus will not start. So make sure it's in the unlock position, okay? So, now you know how to start the bus in case there's a problem and how to open the door. So we're gonna get started on the pre-trip. So we're gonna follow Miss Cordon outside, and Miss Cordon is going to start the pre-trip on the 2020 C&G 40-foot Thomas safety line. Here we go.
Are you ready? Let's
Ready.
get started. First of all, we're going to stand in front of the bus. We're going to start by checking the overall exterior condition of the bus. We're going to start from left to right, top to bottom. I'm also going to check underneath the bus, make sure there's no leaks, and I'm looking for any type of fluid that might be on the ground. You're going to come to the driver's side. Again, I'm checking from top to bottom, making sure that there's no old or new damage. And if there is any, make sure you point that out. Continue checking. I come to a cargo compartment here. I want to make sure this is secure. I have a fuel compartment. You want to go ahead and open your fuel compartment because you want to make sure that the fuel cap is present and secure, which it is. Continue checking from top to bottom. Now I come to the back where you have your engine compartment, and again, I'm checking the overall exterior condition for any old or new damage, but I'm gonna squat and check underneath. Again, I'm looking for any leaks on the ground or anything hanging, for example, hoses or belts. Continue checking. Now I come to the passenger side, and top to bottom, left to right. Another cargo compartment that I want to make sure that it is secure, which it is. I have my fuel compartment here. I'm going to open it. Again, I'm checking, making sure that my fuel cap is present and secure. I have a manual shutoff valve here, and I have a CNG fuel gauge. It is reading 1500 right now, PSIs, which means pounds per square inch. Go ahead and close this. Continue checking from top to bottom. I come to my entrance door, looking on all the rubber seal around it, make sure that there's no damage. My windows, they're not cracked and sealed, or seal and not cracked. Next, I'm gonna check my step wells, making sure that there's no debris, there's no damage, and my handrails. You wanna make sure that your handrails are also secure. I'm gonna come in and also welcome you in, so come on in, Scott. I'm going to check my modesty panels. I have 2 modesty panels. You want to make sure that they are secure, along with your head guard. Also make sure that it's secure. Next, I'm going to check my 292, which is my inspection approval certificate. What I'm looking for here is that it's marked for school bus. Company ID, it's your bus number. It matches the bus. I can see it in my crossview mirrors. The last 4 numbers of my bin are 0710. Make sure that it also matches your chassis, which is 0710. Next, I'm looking that it's signed by CHP. It will certify on 4/28/2020. It's good for 13 months. Next time it'll be due on 5/28/2021. Next, I want to check the passenger capacity. For this bus is 81 passenger. It does not include the driver. 0 wheelchairs, and it's both in English and Spanish. Along with this, you're going to have your registration. That registration, what we're looking is for the date. It should expire 12/31/2099. Next, I'm going to check my emergency equipment. This is my emergency equipment compartment. It is labeled, and in here you're going to find play with this a little bit. Your first aid kit and your fire extinguisher. So I'm gonna pull my first aid kit out. What I'm checking here is my seal. This seal here is to prevent dust and moisture. And I also have an insurance form that it's valid until 7/1/2021. Most of the time, you're also gonna find a green form here. That's your accident form, okay? I want to count my units, make sure I have what I need for this. 81 passenger, I need 24 units, so I'm going to count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. I'm going to go ahead and close it and put it back where it belongs. And next I'm going to check my fire extinguisher. I'm checking the bracket before, make sure that it's not broken. I'm going to check my fire extinguisher. I'm going to start with my nozzle. Make sure that your nozzle, it's clear. There's no obstructions. My pin is secure. It is fully charged. The yellow's in the green. My tag that is signed by State Fire Marshal on July 28th, 2020, and it's good for 1 year. Now I'm going to look for the rating. Look for this UL circle here. The rating for this bus is a 3840 BC. I'm required to have not less than 8 BC. Go ahead and put your fire extinguisher away. Okay, close your emergency compartment. Next, I'm going to check my 3 reflective triangles. Each day, I'm going to check a different one. Pull one out. What I'm looking for here is that my reflective triangle is not broken. Set one up. Stands on its own. And I'm also checking that there's no sand leaks here, okay? Put it away. I'm also going to check my 18-inch handheld stop sign. What I'm looking for is that it's legible on both sides and it's not broken. Now, I'm going to have Scott go over the driver's compartment.
Well, hello everybody. When it gets to the driver's compartment, the first thing we need to do is check to make sure that the seat is secured properly. Then we're going to sit down into the seat and we're going to check our seat belt to make sure that it works properly, it's not frayed or damaged. We're going to go ahead and release it because we are going to be moving around a lot and we're not going to be moving the bus for a bit. Next thing I'm going to do is check to make sure that the seat adjusts what it's as it's supposed to. It should be adjusted to me. It should adjust up and down and back and forward. It's good, it's adjusted to me, we're good to go. Now I'm going to start the bus. I'm going to put the headlights on because the child check system will go off with the door on. Cover the service brake, always cover the service brake before you start the bus. Go ahead and start the bus. Let it yell at you for a while and we're good to go. Why is it doing it? Oh, I've got an engine warning light. There it goes away.
Your emergency exit.
Ah, yes. If you look over here, one of our emergency exits did not close properly. That's why we have that excessive noise. I'm going to bet it's the back emergency exit, so I'm going to go ahead and get up real quickly. There's no children on board, so it's okay. Now, that's a good learning experience. When we played with the locking mechanism, it wasn't pushed quite enough into its slot. It looked like it was locked, but as soon as I played with it and put it in the right spot, it pushed the button in far enough that it released the emergency, the door and fixed the interlock system. So we're good to go. Okay? All right, learning. Here we go. Next. So we're going to get back into the bus and we're going to check the driver's compartment out. I have a method of checking the driver's compartment from the outside in. You can check the driver's compartment any way you want. The law requires you to check everything. It doesn't say how you have to check everything. But we find our method to be very efficient and easy to do. So let's start with my method. All right, so we're going to start with the outside flat left mirror. I need to see 200 feet of the rear to the rear of the bus, and in the right corner of the mirror, I need to see 1 inch of the side of the bus. The yellow should be in there. That gives you as much view out to the side as you possibly can get. I want to see the rear duals touching the ground, 200 feet to the rear, and 1 inch outside of the bus in that flat mirror. Then I have a convex mirror right below it. The convex mirror helps me eliminate blind spots and see things that I wouldn't see in the flat mirror because it gives you that direct view. It widens it out a little bit, okay? I like to go right into my other mirrors to get them out of the way, so I'm going to my interior flat mirror. My interior flat mirror, I want to see everything from the panels, top of the panels right here, to the top of the emergency exit back there, all the way out the side of the buses, so I can see the entire passenger compartment in case anything's going on when I'm driving that I need to see. All right, then I'm going to change my view to the right hand view, and I'm going to check my right flat exterior mirror. I want to see 1 inch of the side of the bus, and I should be able to see at least 200 feet to the rear. But because it's so far away, I can't see the rear duals touching the ground, so I have to use my convex mirror, the one down below, with a little bend to it, and I can see the rear duals touching the ground. My last 2 mirrors that I have, we have 2 on this bus, are my cross view mirrors. We only need 1, but we have 2. I want them adjusted so I can see the entire front bumper all the way to the ground. And even though there's no legal requirement for it, I like to be able to see at least 12 feet in front of the bus, because that's the danger zone on the bus, and you want to see those little critters when they're out running around in front of your bus or underneath your bus. Okay, so that's the mirrors. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in a little bit further. I'm going to check my driver's windows to make sure that my driver's windows work properly. They open and close, which they do, no problem. I'm going to come over here, and this is my fire suppression system. This system will go off if there's a fire in the back and it gets hot enough that it burns this little strip of red wire in the back against the firewall. It will automatically fire off the fire extinguisher in the back and put it out. But if you see a fire happening back there, it'll start to beep at you and you'll see smoke coming out of there. You, if you make the decision, can hit that fire button. Okay, talk to your instructor a little bit more about that so that you understand how it works, okay? Next, I'm going to check my visors to make sure that they work properly. They do. And I'm going to check my fans to make sure that they're all secured. Then I'm going to come down to my next level. That would be my windshields. I want to be able to see that they're all sealed and not cracked, and they're both in good condition. The next level that I'm going to be checking when I'm in the driver's compartment is the steering wheel. The steering wheel has what they call free play. Free play is the amount of movement it has before it starts to actually turn the wheels. You should have, on a 20-inch wheel, no more than 2 inches of free play. We say no excessive wheel play. And don't be moving the wheel back and forth like this. It's just move it lightly, and when it starts to grab, that's how much steering wheel free play you have. And that's just about 1 inch, so it's really good. I have an electric horn right here. Works great. I have a left turn signal. It works fine. A right turn signal. Works fine. I have a high beam, low beam switch. I've got my windshield wipers right here that go intermittent, slow, medium, and fast and faster. And you can also push them in to get fluid. Okay, you should check those every morning to make sure that they're working properly. Behind that, I have 4-way flashers. There's a button right behind that lever right there. You can see that they're working properly. I go ahead and turn them off. And then I have a lever here that adjusts my steering wheel. I can telegraph it up and back, or I can make it go up and down so that it's comfortable for me to drive with my elbows bent in a nice, comfortable position. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to the next level. I'm going to go to my switches. Okay, over here I have 2 sets of switches. These control my air conditioning in a Thomas. All right, this is temperature control, hotter or colder, and these are my fan speeds. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. They all work fine. And I'm going to work my way down here, and I've got a little plug here where I can plug things in that I need to charge. I've got my mirror adjustments for the left and right flat mirror. I've got my luggage bay light, so at nighttime I can light up the luggage bays to be able to store stuff if I have to underneath. I've got my mirror defroster. If I'm in a cold weather situation, it'll help defrost the mirrors. I've got my strobe light. This is a light on top of the bus that you can activate if atmospheric conditions are reduced to less than 500 feet. This is my emergency door. You saw it go off earlier when we had that one door that wasn't secured properly. Whenever a door is not secured properly, the light will come on and that loud screaming buzzer will come on. So you got to see how that works. That's really good. My interior light switch, when I turn that on, I look in my rear view mirror and I can see all the rear interior lights coming on. You check to make sure they're working properly. And I've got my center interior lights, they're working properly. And then I've got my driver's overhead light that's working properly. Next, I've got my fans. My fans, I can go on low, high, and off. Next fan, low, high, and off. And then I've got my 8-light system. The 8-light system works with, if I want to turn on my amber lights, I have to close the door. If I want to turn on my amber lights, I just hit this button once, and there's my amber lights. If I want to turn on my red lights, I hit the override, and then there, and I've got my red lights on, so those work properly, okay? Then there's my door switch. If you look down, you'll see that I just opened my door, and I can check the door light, so when people get in, they don't trip and hurt themselves or smack their shins against the things. Turn it off. Next, I've got my heater, and I've got low, high, and off. And in conjunction with that, you have a heater pump. This circulates the water up into the passenger compartment to help with the heating during the winter time. You just turn it on. This is my air horn, really loud. Okay. And this is my clearance markers. We're going to leave them on. And my last switch is my noise suppression switch. This helps me when I'm at a railroad crossing or I have to hear sirens or something going on and I need it quiet. It will turn off my AM/FM radio and my fans, but it will leave my AM/FM, my two-way radio on. Okay. All right, let's come across to the panel. The panel has all kinds of things on it. We're going to start with the retarder. This is the control for the retarder, but this button right here turns on the retarder. When you turn that on, you've got 7 settings here that you can use to slow the bus coming down a hill instead of using your brakes, okay? It's a great device to have. The only problem is if you're coming down from a very long hill with a lot of people, your transmission gets a little warm. We'll talk about that in a while, okay? We have inside drains for all of my tanks. We have 4 separate tanks on this bus. We have the primary tank, we have the secondary tank, we have the auxiliary tank for your seats and doors and all that, and then we've got the wet tank or supply tank. And so those are great to have inside. So if you want to do the other type of brake test, which is a split tank, we can do that. All right, we're going to work our way up. The next is our panel dimmer switch. Our panel dimmer switch is makes the lights go up or down at nighttime. Coming over here, these are the headlights. This is pedal adjustment. These are pretty cool on the Thomason. You can make the pedals bigger for tall people or closer for shorter people. You don't have to use a pillow behind your back. So that works out pretty good. And this is your anti-spin device. If you're in cold weather or mud or rain or something and your tires are spinning in certain spots, you push this button and the computer will help control the traction better. All right. Now we're at the shift panel. We have numbers here. Right now it's in neutral. We also have a reverse. And when you put it in reverse, look up at your rear view mirror. It takes 3 seconds and now you've got a rear view camera going on. Wait the 3 seconds before you start to back the bus, okay? Put the bus into neutral and you can see on the shift pad, when I switch it, it'll tell you what gear you're in, okay? I go to neutral, it goes to neutral, and if I go to drive, it goes to drive. I also have up shifts and down shifts buttons, so it'll tell you what gear you shifted into and what gear you're actually in, okay? So right now I've shifted to 3rd gear, but I'm only sitting in 1st gear, okay? And then this is the mode button. The mode button you would use if you're on a long trip someplace, and when you press it on, it says mode, and it's programmed to shift faster to help with fuel economy. Okay, we're going to turn the mode shift off. Now we're going to work our way over to this panel. Up here, there are lights, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and off. These are warning lights. when you turn it on, there's a bunch of lights here. We'll give you a copy of the paperwork to explain each one of these, but you should be able to identify each one of those lights. If you're doing this for a pre-trip of the CHP, take a picture of it when it's on, learn each light so that you can explain them if you need to. Okay, we're gonna restart the bus again. Those are all the lights that I'm talking about, all your warning lights. If you're driving and one of those lights come on, you need to pull over and check it out. I've got the tachometer here. This indicates engine speed. So right now, times 100, each graduated number, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So we're at times 100 is 750 RPMs right now. Okay, this is my fuel gauge. We're a little bit less than half, almost just above a quarter of the fuel. This is CNG. It's measured by pounds per square inch. So we currently have 1,341 pounds per square inch of fuel inside of our tanks. All right, our next gauge over here is our oil pressure gauge, and our oil pressure runs between 30 and 50 on these buses. And when you step on the accelerator, you can see it rising up, and that'll show that it's working properly. Okay, we have a parking brake light here. It tells us that our parking brake is applied. We have the speedometer. This controls road speed. It doesn't work right now until we start moving. We'll check it when we start to drive the bus. This is our water temperature. Right now it's just showing above cool. Our normal running temperature is between 170 and 210 depending on the type of thermostat they put inside of the bus, okay? And this is our transmission temperature gauge. And you will not know where it's at, but when it hits 250, a light will come on indicating that the temperature is too hot. And that will happen a lot of times when you're using the retarder. When you activate this button and you're going down a long grade, like say from Big Bear, for a long period of time, your temperature will raise because it's a transmission retarder. And when it hits 250, it'll come on. All you do is turn off the retarder and use your light steady even braking with a target speed of 3 to 5 miles per hour, and you'll be fine for the rest of the way until it cools down, and turn it back on when you need to, okay? This little section right here gives us all the other information you might need. So in this situation, we're looking at the volts. It's currently running at 13.8 volts. It should run between 12 and 14, showing that it's charging. This is your fuel pressure, so you know that you got enough fuel in here. On some of these buses, we've been noticing that when the fuel light comes on at 800 to 900 pounds, can sometimes shut down the bus, so we're going to look at that. And then average fuel economy, and then you have these toggle switches right here, which you can switch it around to see other things like amp meters and other items that you might need to know, okay? The last thing that we're looking at in this little section is our air gauge. We have a single air gauge on this bus with 2 needles. The red needle indicates the secondary tank. The green needle indicates the primary, the rear, okay? And currently right now, if you look at it, it's in graduations of 10, so it's 90, 100, 110. So the secondary is at 110, and the primary is at about 118, okay? So we're gonna work our way back over here. We've got a couple more gauges left, or switches left, and this is our defroster fan. So we've got low. Check it to make sure that it's blowing properly up on the windows, medium, and then high. You can control the temperature for both the defroster and the fan right here, the heater right here. This is the heater controls for the fan. So we've got low, medium, high, and off. And over here, we have cruise control. When you do cruise control, if you're out on a long drive someplace and you're not going to have to keep pushing on the accelerator, you just go to 55, hit set, and it will stay at 55. And then all you have to do is hit the brake to cancel it, and it will allow you to control it yourself again. And if you have it set, you can resume it again and go back up to 55 if something stopped you. The other thing these switches is that you turn on your high idle. If you do your high idle, you're going to look up here, the high idle is on, the green right here. Now, to set it, you just push this one and it'll start to rise up. You get it where you want to, you hit the button again, and it will hold it at that high idle, okay? And then when you want it off, just push off on the speed control, okay? There we go. And the second to the last thing is our ignition key, and our parking brake is applied. We also have an AM/FM radio. And the last thing that we're going to talk about in this driver's compartment is the foot pedals. They adjust, but they have screws and bolts on them, so always check to make sure they're secure. Something can come loose and we don't want them falling off while you're driving. So that was your driver's compartment. I hope you have a good idea of how to check out your driver's compartment. Now we're going to switch over to the interior, and we're going to be having Yesenia take over the interior portion and part of the outside. Okay?
Okay, so we just finished checking the driver's compartment. Now we're gonna check the passenger compartment. And I'm gonna start with the ceiling. I'm making sure that there's no damage. I'm also gonna be checking all of my light covers. What I'm checking is that they are not broken. And I have an AC unit here. I wanna make sure that it's secure. Also, I have a luggage rack here that I wanna make sure that it's secure. I'm also gonna be checking the top of the seats. Okay, make sure that the top of the seats are secure. I'm also going to be checking the seat belts. This bus has seat belts. You just want to check one on each side. Make sure that they're all working properly. And I'm also going to check one window on each side, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, checking that it opens and closes. So you choose whatever window you want, okay? By the end of the week, you should be done checking all of your windows. Continue checking the top of the seats. Now I have an emergency exit hatch. What I'm looking for here is that all instructions are legible. And the way you're gonna open your emergency hatch is you're gonna move the lever to the left, push out, go to the front. I can hear, and I can see it too. Go back. Close your emergency exit hatch. I'm gonna leave it open because it's hot. Continue checking the tops of the seats, looking at my light covers, make sure that they're not broken. And I have a floor level emergency exit door. What I'm looking for here is that my head guard is secure. All instructions are legible. I'm gonna lift the lever. I'm gonna open it. I can hear it. Now I need to go to the front where I can see the light. Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the door for my emergency exit. Now I have a jump seat here, and what I'm looking for is that when I put it down, that it goes back up, that it folds. That's my jump seat. Continue checking the tops of the seats. I have another AC unit. I'm checking that it is secure. Luggage rack is also secure. Top of the seats, another floor level emergency exit. Again, I'm checking, making sure that my head guard is secure. All instructions are legible. Lift the lever, push. I can hear it. I need to go to the front where I'm gonna be able to see the light. And the light is on. Now come back. Close your emergency exit. Again, I have another jump seat here. Every floor level emergency exit will have a jump seat. Checking that it folds back. Continue checking the tops of the seats, and I'm also looking at my light covers. I have another emergency exit hatch. All instructions are clearly marked. I'm gonna go ahead and open it. I can hear it. Go to the front. Make sure that you can see the light. Close it. Continue checking the tops of the seats. My last emergency exit, I'm checking that my head guard is secure. Instructions are clearly marked. I'm gonna go ahead and open it. I can hear it. Go to the front. Make sure that the light comes on. Of the seats, make sure that they are secure to the bus. I'm also checking my floor, make sure there's no debris, there's no damage, and it's clean. So the way you check the bottoms of the seats is you're gonna lift the sides and the front. Sides, front, sides, front, side, front, side, front. And you're gonna do that with every seat, okay? Check every seat, make sure that it's secure. Now you come to the front. Before you go to the out, because now we're gonna get ready to go out, you wanna turn on a couple of lights. You wanna make sure that your ambers is on, and it shows me here that it's on. I'm gonna turn on my left turn indicator. My headlight switch is already on. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my high beams. I'm gonna also turn on my clearance lights, which is already on. Put on gloves, grab your tire thumper, and now we're gonna do the manual operation of the entrance door. In case your switch doesn't work, you wanna be able to open your entrance door manually. Again, we're gonna start from top to bottom, left to right. I'm looking, making sure that all my clearance lights are on and working, and they are. My amber lights are flashing. My left turn indicator is also working. And the bottom lights, those are your high beams. All my school bus lettering and number, I should have a number 38 in the front, legible. Now you come to the front and you're gonna check your mirror brackets, making sure that they're also secure. My windshield wipers, I'm looking for good tension, make sure they're not damaged. My indicator covers are secure, not broken. All my lights secure. And my license plate, make sure that your license plate is also secure along with your front bumper, okay? I have another mirror bracket here that it's also secure. I come to the side of the bus, clearance light is on, reflector, I'm looking to make sure that it's not broken or missing, okay? Bus number 38, it's legible. Now I come to my front tire. What I'm looking for here is making sure that my tire guard is secure. So is my mud flap. Now I'm gonna check my tire. I'm gonna start by checking my tire tread depth in the front, not less than 430 seconds. Make sure you check all grooves. Now I'm gonna check the wall. I'm looking, making sure that there's no cuts or bulges. My rim, there's no damage. My lug nuts are all tight and secure. My hub nuts are all tight and secure. My hub seal, there's no oil leak. And my valve stem, no air leak and it's present. Now I'm gonna check for proper tire inflation. I have a left turn indicator that it's on and not broken. Continue checking from the top, bottom. I have a clearance light that it's on, a reflector that is not broken or missing. I have an emergency exit door that it's clearly marked, all instructions. My Garden Girl Unified School District name, it's legible along with my California ID. I'm gonna go ahead and open my emergency exit. What I'm looking for here is that my seal, the rubber seal is intact. There's no obstructions. And my star lock, make sure my star lock is working, which it is. Continue checking from top to bottom, make sure there's no damage. Left turn indicator, it is working, not broken. Now I come to my rear dual. Again, I'm gonna start by checking my tire guard, make sure that it is secure. My mud flap is secure. Tire tread depth in the rear, it's not less than 230 seconds. Check both tires all across. Now with your tire thumper, you're gonna go in between your duals. Make sure there's no debris, nothing obstructing your duals. I'm also gonna check for proper tire inflation. And here, I'm looking at my drive shaft guard, make sure that it's not broken. Next, I'm gonna check the wall, make sure there's no cuts or bulges. My rim, make sure there's no damage. My lug nuts, I'm checking that they are tight and secure. My axle nuts, make sure that they are tight and secure. My valve stem, it is present. Both valve stems, they are secure. Now I'm gonna continue checking. Clearance light is on, reflector's not missing. In the back, with the engine on, I'm checking that there's no leaks, nothing hanging. Again, I'm gonna start from the top, left to right. All my clearance lights are on, amber lights are flashing. School bus, emergency exit, stop and red lights flashed, and number 38 are clearly marked. Left turn indicator is on, working. And these lights here are my tail lights, okay? I also have, make sure they're all secured to the bus. Reflector's not missing or broken. I have a license plate light that is on, a license plate that is secure. My bumper is also secure, and I have my exhaust pipe. It is is flush or even with your bumper. Now I'm gonna come to the side, check my clearance light is on, reflector's not missing. I have another rear dual tire here. Checking the tire guard, make sure that it is secure. My mud flap is also secure. My tire tread depth in the rear, not less than 230 seconds. Again, I'm gonna check all grooves. With your tire thumper, I'm gonna check in between, make sure that there's no debris, nothing obstructing my duals. My tire wall, there's no cuts or bulges. My rim, there's no damage. All lug nuts are tight and secure. Axle nuts are also tight and secure. My bell stem on the outer tire and inside tire are present. And I'm also gonna check for proper tire inflation. Continue checking. I have another emergency exit door that is clearly marked. Right into our Unified School District with California are legible. I'm going to open the emergency exit door. Again, I'm looking at the seal rubber. Make sure that it's in good shape. Nothing's obstructing my emergency exit. And my star lock is also working. Go ahead and close your emergency exit. Clearance light is on, reflector's not broken or missing. Right turn indicator is not broken. Bus number 38 is legible and reflector's not missing. My last tire is the front. Tire guard is secure. Mud flap is also secure. My tire tread depth in the front, not less than 430 seconds. I'm gonna check all of them. The wall, make sure there's no cuts or bulges or any damage. My rim doesn't have any damage. My lug nuts are tight and secure. My hub nuts are also tight and secure. My hub seal, there's no oil leak. And my valve stem, it is present, no air leaks, and proper tire inflation. Now we're gonna go inside and I'm gonna cancel the lights that I just finished checking and turn on the new lights. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel my ambers, turn on my reds, cancel my left turn on my right turn indicator, cancel my high beams, and I'm gonna prop the service brake. And the way you're gonna prop the service brake is bring the driver's seat forward all the way, and with your tire thumper, you're gonna go ahead and put it against, okay, let's see if that does it. Okay, let's try this. Okay, that should stay. Now we're gonna go outside and start always from the top. My red lights are flashing. My right turn indicator is also working, and those are my low beams. And with the engine on in the front, you also want to make sure that there's no leaks, okay? Come to the driver's side. In case you forget something, this is the perfect time for you to kind of glance at everything. I have a stop arm that is secured to the bus. It's legible on both sides, and my red flashing lights are also flashing on both sides. Come to the back, and I have my red lights that are on and working. My right turn indicator is working, and my tail lights now became my service brake lights. See how they're brighter? Yeah, these are my service brake lights. Now you're gonna come to the side, and I have a right indicator that is working. I have another right turn indicator here that is also working. Now I'm gonna go inside, cancel the lights that I just finished checking, and activate the new ones, okay? And release the tire thumper. And cancel your reds, cancel your right turn indicator, turn on my hazard lights, shows that it's working. Now, This is very important, okay? You're gonna go ahead and cover the service brake, okay? Never put a bus in gear without putting a little bit of pressure on your service brake. Make sure your parking brake is applied, which it is. But now you're gonna put it in reverse. You're gonna turn off the engine. And when you turn off the engine, you're gonna do a quick key on. So your reverse lights stay on, okay? Now we're gonna go outside. And this is gonna be our last route, okay? I didn't cancel my red lights, but at this point you should have your red lights canceled. Let me go inside and cancel them. Okie dokie. Hazard lights are on and working. Come to the side here, because these became your hazard lights, and they are working. Hazard light working, and in the back, I have hazard lights. They're on and working. And these beautiful white lights are my reverse lights. I can see them, I can hear them. Come to the side. We also have hazard lights here now. They are working. Hazard light is working. And now, Scott is gonna take over because he's gonna show you guys.
All right, after the third walk around, we're gonna go ahead and enter the bus. Look this way. We're gonna sit down into the driver's seat. This door there. We're going to cover the service brake, put the bus into neutral, and we're going to turn off the four-way flashers, and then we're gonna go ahead and start the bus up. We always cover the service brake. We are going to be doing a dual air 121 brake system check. All right. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at our air gauges, and we're going to determine if the needles are currently moving or not. So we have to look at them very closely to see if they're moving. If they're moving, we will build up to governor cutout, which they are in this situation. They're building up, and we're going to let it go to cutout, and then we'll come back and start with cut in. So we're going to go ahead and just let it build up and get to where it needs to go. It's always best to just have the same routine every single day. So we're going to check for governor cut in and governor cut out, starting with cut in this situation. But just let it build all the way up. You have to build it up at the end anyway. So let it go to build up. There it is. It's at cut out. So now we're going to check for governor cut in. In order to check for governor cut in, we press down on the service brake and we look to see where the needles are. And in this situation, the secondary is at 110 and the primary is about 114. What we're looking for is the governor to cut in by 85 psi. The law says it must cut in, start to build air by 85 psi. It is not building, so we're going to press it again. I'm going to say where they're at. Again, I'm looking at the secondary and it's at 100 and the primary is at about 113. Oh, yeah, 103, sorry, 103. Hey, guess what? They're building. The air gauges are starting to build, so it started to build above 85. It was a good test. Now, what were we talking about with the governor? The governor controls the compressor. It tells it when to do the load cycle, which means put air into the system, or the unload cycle, where it redirects the air and recirculates it back into the compressor. If it breaks and the compressor continues to build up air and goes past the 130 pounds per square inch where it's supposed to cut out, we have a safety valve that will allow the air to dissipate out of the air tanks above 150. Okay, so now we're waiting for it to cut out. It has to cut out by 130 pounds per square inch, and it's at 129. Excellent. So our secondary cut out at 126 and our primary cut out at 129. It was a good test. It was below 130, so we're good there. Our next two tests are going to be leakage tests. The first one is what we call the static test. All we do is turn off the engine, turn the key back to the on position, look back at our needles, and we're still at 126 and 129. 126 for the secondary, 129 for the primary. And we look at our watch and we start to count from that point, 1 minute. And the rule is I cannot lose more than 2 pounds per square inch in 1 minute of time. And I'm checking for leaks in my lines, my tanks, and my valves, all the way from my service brake back to my compressor. All right, so I'm looking at my watch, and for our purposes, we're just going to call it as 1 minute right now. And then I look back to my needles and I go, okay, 1 minute's up. My secondary is still at 126 and my primary is still at 129. I have zero air loss, no leakage. It was a good test. Our next test for leakage is going to be the applied test. To do the applied test, we press lightly on the service brake so our bus doesn't roll. We release the parking brake, and then we push down all the way on the brake, and we hold it for 1 minute. First, we go back to the needles and we say the secondary needles are sitting at 108, and my primary is about 112, okay? And my minute starts now. On this test, I cannot lose more than 3 pounds per square inch in any 1 minute. I'm checking for leaks in the entire system with compressed air, all the way from my surface brake to my brake shoes. I've opened up the valves on the air canisters, and it's pushing it all the way out to the brake shoes. Okay, so our minute has gone by for our purposes. All right, and we're going to look back at the needles. 1 minute's gone by. We look at them and go, okay, the needles are at 110 and 113. We have no air lossage. It's a good test. All right. Our next test. Well, first we have to apply the parking brake and must be on. Our next test is going to be the low air warning device. There are 2 different ways of checking our low air warning device. We can do the pump down method, which we're going to use, or you could split the tanks. We are going to use the pump down method, but splitting the tanks is where you use these valves over here to drain the tanks. And the reason that we would do that is to check each individual air tank to see when the low air warning device comes on, to make sure that the double check valve works, and we would actually roll the bus forward and stop using the tank that has air in it to make sure that it works properly. But today we're just going to do the pump down method. So we have to have a low air warning device on 60 psi, continuous audio and visual. So we just pump down until we get a continuous audio and visual warning sign. There it is. Let's get it continuous. So my secondary tank was about 64 and my primary tank was about 67. That's a good test. My next thing I'm going to do is start the engine. And I'm going to let the air build up to at least 100 pounds per square inch. I'm going to go ahead and close the door because we're going to be moving the bus. Put on my seat belt to make sure that, because I'm going to be moving, and we're ready to set up. So while it's building up to 100 pounds minimum, let it build up, don't be in a hurry. You just need to understand how the system works. There's things you should know, like your parking brake. When you push in your parking brake, you are charging the system. You're pushing air into the spring brake chamber, and it compresses the spring that releases the brake so that you can move. When you pull the parking brake or set the parking brake, you're exhausting air out of the spring brake chamber, which allows that spring to expand and apply the brakes, and you won't be able to move that bus again until air gets back in there. So those are a couple little things you need to know about that. Okay. Now we're almost at 100. No, we still got a little bit to go. So understanding your brake system is very significant. You should understand how it works so you'll know how to react when things go on. If you were to go down the road and you lost air, let's say in your front tank, and you saw your front tank, the red needle just dropping like a rock, but the green needle was stationary, that would mean that your double check valve is working properly, and you could still stop using your rear brakes. So you don't need to panic, but you need to get off the freeway, get to a safe spot, and stop. Okay? And if it was reversed and you were losing air in your green needle, it was falling, but your red needle was holding, that would mean that you've only got front brakes at that time. But you have this thing called an SR1 valve that will modulate the air from your front tank to your spring brakes and allow you to apply them at the same time, which will give you full braking power. Again, in that situation, you just have to pull the bus over to the side of the road, get to a safe spot, and stop the bus, and then call the mechanic. Okay? Little things you should know. Okay, now we're above 100 pounds per square inch, so our next test is going to be the parking brake test. We want to make sure that our parking brake is working properly, that it's adjusted to stop this bus in case there's an emergency. So what I'm going to do is use the push, roll, pull method. So I'm going to put the bus into drive. I'm going to release the parking brake. I'm going to take my foot off of the service brake, let it roll on its own, and pull the parking brake. Here we go. There we go. So it was a nice abrupt stop, so I know that it was a good stop, and it's adjusted properly. In case of emergency, it will stop this bus. My second test that I'm going to do is for my service brake and my front brake adjustment. I'm going to put the bus into drive. I'm going to release the parking brake. I'm going to put my hands lightly on the steering wheel, pull forward, and press kind of firmly on the brakes to see if the bus steering wheel will turn to the left or the right, and that would indicate that my front brakes are out of adjustment, and I down that bus because I wouldn't want to be driving it like that. And my third and final, I'm just going to roll forward, and I'm going to check for overall feel. I'm going to make a normal stop, and I'm listening, feeling, hearing to make sure they sound and feel good. And if they do, I'm going to put the parking brake on, put the bus into neutral, and guess what? We are done with our pre-trip. Isn't that amazing? We have done our brake test. Everything is good. We've checked this bus out from top to bottom. Okay?
Ta-da! We are done. Hope you learned something.
Yep. Have a great one, you guys. Hope you learned something. Bye now.